So in this video, we're looking at the order Acari, which is part of the class of arachnids. This has to do specifically with ticks and mites. We'll talk specifically about them because they are so not important. That's not the right word. They are so influential to our own world. Um, they're the largest order of spiders, 40,000 species. Estimates are much higher as far as the number of actual species. These are terrestrial, aquatic, but there's some are terrestrial, some that are aquatic. Species living in almost every type of ecosystem available. Most of them are very small, between 1 millimeter to 3 centimeters in size. They have a completely fused cephalothorax and abdomen. They have an anterior projection, so think anterior head. They have an anterior projection called the capitulum, and the chelicera and the pedipalps are very greatly used. They're often used for feeding. This anterior projection of the head. Here's that capitulum there that you can see. It's one of their characteristic features that they have. Most of them are parasitic, with some free living species, not very many. They can also be parasites to plants too, so it's not just a human or mammal thing, but they can be parasitic to plants. They can cause irritation. They can feed on human tissue. Here's an example of a chigger. You've probably all heard of chiggers. This is an aphid there. This is a chigger that is biting you. You probably heard grandma say that you should put fingernail polish on a chigger bite because it like suffocates it or whatever. But they don't actually embed in you when they bite you. They deliver this kind of poison that causes your skin to be irritated. It causes it to itch, and that's what is if they're not embedded in you or anything like that. Ticks are one of the worst, and this is a picture of some dust mites. Here we go. Here's some ticks. Ticks are one of the worst vectors for diseases in the world. They're second only to mosquitoes. We have a tick around here, that digger tick there called Ixodes or Ixodes. This carries Lyme disease. There's the dog tick on the right. It's more of a common there. Um, and so these are a couple that we're familiar with there. That person on their hand has those seed ticks, those really small ticks on them. These, again, deer ticks can carry Lyme disease, which can be a lifelong kind of thing. Dog ticks can cause something called Rocky Mountain spotted fever, which is also pretty difficult. The chiggers I mentioned earlier. So moving on. Subphylum Myriapoda. This has many legs. Myriapodas are centipedes, millipedes, and other is what my notes tell me, but I'm not exactly sure what that is. Looks like I have a couple of classes here, so we'll look and see. They have two tagmata, head and trunk, and most trunk segments have paired appendages on them, depending on the type of class that we're going to be looking at. So class Chilapoda, these are centipedes. Centipedes are known to be very active and agile predators. They have as many as 177 segments. Every segment, but three, contains a pair of joined appendages and are jointed appendages, and so and one pair. That's what makes them centipedes. The first segment is modified to form these what are called venom claws. So they're not really fangs like you'd expect to see on a spider, but they're venom claws, and they can be very painful. The last pair of legs in some centipedes, it's hard to tell which end is the head and which end is the back, but the last pair of legs have more of a sensory function. Their head is very similar to insects. I don't have a picture of their head, but there's a centipede. Some centipedes are really nasty. All right, Diplopoda. This is millipedes. Diplo, 2 feet or 2 feet is what that means, because they have two pairs of legs per segment. They're not as active as centipedes. Most of them are herbivorous. They will roll up to avoid predators, or they'll secrete toxins also to evade predators. You see these sometimes on the floor of a house or in the dust or something outside. A lot less active than a centipede. We do have some centipede species around here, but you're more likely to see a millipede. Pauropoda. These are soft-bodied myriapods. Don't have anything else about them. Looks like they're burrowers. And so not a whole lot there to know. And then another one are called Symphyla. These are soft-bodied eyeless myriapods, probably living in caves. And again, not a whole lot about these, but you can see the myriapod body plan there with the distinct head with the antenna, the two posterior appendages for the tail, and then every segment, lots of segments, and every segment having at least one pair of appendages.